Today, I want to talk about motivation. I want to talk about you and what's driving you forward. You see, I've had a number of conversations recently with business owners that talk about the stress and the strain and the angst of 2020 and what a year 2020 proved to be. And that they'd put everything into them and their business to be able to get through one, a prolonged lockdown or series of lockdowns, and then two, the impact that's had on business with regards to furloughing staff and whether you're allowed to trade or not allowed to trade. And the whole environment of 2020 was such a unpredicted and unplanned for set of events that everyone ended up having to dig deep and find a means of being able to get through. And yet we've come into 2021. Majority of us are still in a tier 4 lockdown, and there's the start of a new year and the hope with a vaccine on the horizon of a better outcome for 2021. And yet many people are telling me that they've lost the mojo. They seem to be going through the motions of business, and there's no real motivation or inspiration as to how to be able to find that reserve within us and keep us going in these last few months or so until this vaccination is more widely rolled out and we can start to return back to some form of normality, whatever the new normal is going to be. And for those people, I'm reminded of the times where, as a former soldier, a veteran of the British Armed Forces, the times where we were in some quite bleak circumstances. Certainly Mount Igman overlooking Sarajevo in Bosnia in 2000, or 96 or 93, or there was a lot happening where it was difficult to remain motivated. It was difficult to be able to find the mojo that got you out of bed in the morning with a smile on your face and ready to face another day. And yet here I am, able to be able to share and tell you all about it. So how do we find that reserve? Not only for ourselves, but for our family and our loved ones, but also for our employees and colleagues. How do we reinvigorate the passion and the drive and the promise at a time where everything seems just a little bit vanilla and almost Groundhog Day? Ironically, at the time of recording this, that was last week. And the simple fact is, you need to go back and reassociate with why are you doing this in the first place? What's the whole purpose of you and the business? What's the business mission and values and culture? We've got to go back almost to reinventing and retelling the story of who we are, where we are, why we are, and that's the most important, the why. What is it that we're here to do? What's the mission? What's the plan? I wanted to quickly and briefly share with you a story about going on holiday. And again, in 2020, we weren't able to do that so frequently. So let's just reminisce to the last time that you and your family had boarded the aircraft and it had jetted round to the end of the runway, and we were just waiting for our little slots to be able to take off to whichever sunny destination it was that you were setting out to. The chances are that you're sat back in your seat, seatbelts on, waiting to travel down the runway. And as the roar of the engines starts to be able to pick up and we start to be able to surge forward, this sense of both excitement and exhilaration as we start to take off and travel faster and faster and faster, and then nose up to the sky, and we're off. We leave all of the worry and the stress and the concern behind, and for the next 2 or 3 weeks we're off. We're off to an exciting new destination with promise of relaxation, of new exploration, of different. And inside, we've got this sense, we've got this state of being that says, I'm looking forward, I'm optimistic, I'm positive about the future. And for the next 2 to 3 weeks, everything seems to be going hunky-dory, everything's fine, and we've had the most amazing holiday. We're relaxed, we're centred, we're ready to be able to face the world. And then eventually, it's unfortunately time to be able to come back home again, to be able to come back to to day-to-day life, to leave behind the promise of what it is that we'd been out to explore and find. And as we're flying home, we're giving considerations to the last few memories and sharing the stories. And then eventually the light comes back on and it says, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Put your seatbelts back on as we're coming back down towards back towards home. And as the nose starts to point back down again, we almost lean forward slightly in our chairs. Our head dips a little. We start to think about the enormity of the immediacy of the future. We did lock the doors, didn't we? And we remembered to turn the heating off. I wonder how much post we've got to go through. There's going to be a mountain of post. Oh my God, just think about all the emails we're going to have to fix when we get back into the office. We go back to that immediacy of all of the things that we'd left behind. And it's exactly the same. We've gone through this whole year almost with regards to the immediacy of tomorrow. You see, we don't like change. There's very few people in the world that are actually embracing of change and uncertainty. Statistics say that there's no more than about 2.5% of the population that actually embroil and engage and enjoy the change and the uncertainty of each day. The majority of us like some form of certainty, like some form of knowing what's coming next. And the biggest problem that we've had over the last 12 months now is that there's been such uncertainty with regards to what's happening in the world and how that impacts you and your family and your future and your colleagues and your friends and your staff. Ironically, even knowing that it's difficult times or knowing that there's better times to come, still better than not knowing what's coming. That uncertainty that leaves us on edge and causes us to be able to use so much of our energy just to be able to try and stay static where we are right now, with the fear of what could, what might. And yet none of that's real. Fear isn't real. Sure, danger is real and we should avoid and be cautious of danger, but fear is here. Fear is manifested in the mind about things that could happen, might happen, we wish don't happen. And yet we've lived on that sense of uncertainty and this constant creation of fear and uncertainty for the last 12 months. There's hardly any surprising that we are so low in our motivation levels, in our energy levels, if we've been in this state of flux, this state of uncertainty for almost 12 months. And yet it's relatively easy, and it only takes a few minutes to be able to completely change how we're thinking, and as a result, the impact that has on our daily lives, on the people around us, and the actions that we take, and the results that we receive. We've got to go back to retelling the story. We've got to go back to reminding ourselves, not just reading the words, but embracing the words. Why are you in business? What is it that you're doing? Why are you doing? Why are you doing this and not something else? It's only when we reassociate with our why. It's only when we can communicate that why more easily and succinctly with others. Excuse me. It's only when that why starts to emotionally impact ourselves and the people that we tell it to that we start to feel a different sense. We start to get reinvigorated. We start to be able to get remotivated and recharged towards the whole purpose of who we are and what we're doing. And it is that will change everything. I'm going to finish by telling you this. Now listen carefully, because this is a little bit profound. Your state impacts your emotion. Your emotion impacts your thoughts. Your thoughts impact your actions, and your actions impact the results. I'll say that one more time and then I'm going to quickly explain it. Your state of being impacts your emotions. The emotions that you have impact your thoughts. Your thoughts impact the actions that we have, and the actions that we take impact the results that we have and see. And therefore, if the results that you're currently seeing aren't the ones that you are hopeful for, aren't the ones that are positive and motivating and driving you forwards to be able to do more, we have to strip back the layers of the onion and understand that it is potentially the state of being that you're in which is having the biggest impact on the results that you're seeing. And therefore, by reinvigorating yourself, by reconnecting with your purpose, your mission, your goals, what it is that you're trying to achieve and why you are trying to achieve, by lifting our head back forward again as if we're taking off on the down the runway and we're motivated about the future and everything that it has to offer, as opposed to our head down and looking to the immediacy of right here and right now, will help us change our state. We will have a better emotional engagement with that state, and as a result it will change the level of our thinking. And only when we start thinking differently will we start doing differently, will we start to see different results. So if you want to create 2021 as your best year yet, if you want a different set of results, it comes from a different set of actions, and that starts with a different level of thinking, and it originates within a different state of being. So what I want you to take from today's brief video is change your state, change your life. It's all down to you now. It's down to you to be able to acknowledge and absorb what it is that I've said, and to examine the state that you're currently in and change it in order to be able to ensure that 2021 is your best year yet. That's Jay Allen from My True North. Hope you've got something from today. I'd love to be able to read your comments below. I look forward to speaking again real soon. Take care.